Badass Attitudes, licensed here, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. A badass is determined to grow, disciplined in the process, and dedicated to the goals. Turn up your energy with Mustang Monday. Here once again in the driver's seat is Kelly Orchard. This is badass territory, no sniveling.
I just love how Bobby Ocean introduces me. That's right. This is badass territory, no sniveling. Hi, everybody. I'm Kelly Orchard, the Badass Certifier. This is our March Badass Leadership Summit. And today on this Mustang Monday, I've got some great tips for you. But first, I want you to know it's the beginning of spring, and we're covering the letter D in badass, which means to decide, to grow and succeed. It also means that you got to stay determined and dedicated so that you can dominate. I've got a lot of D's in the letter D in badass. That always works. And this is our Badass Leadership Summit. And today in the Mustang, my guests that hopped in the seat are Felicia Peterson, mortgage lender, with some badass tips about being authentic and how that makes you badass. And then my friend Libby Gill on Millennial Leadership. Hop on in for a ride.
Teaching you to love Monday. Mustang Monday. Fast cars, fun chats, and badass business and personal tips from the streets. Driving home a positive message with interviews conducted in Kelly's 2006 Mustang.
Hey, Bobby, you know that it's a real Mustang, right?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, you would, because you're playing the yes man, aren't you?
That's right, Kelly.
What?
Hey everybody, Kelly Orchard here with Felicia Peterson of what's your
New
company?
American Funding.
New American Funding. Now, yes. Felicia and I met a while ago at a chamber function.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm going to say once again, it's like getting involved in your community really helps you meet people. So. But I'm thrilled to have you here for Mustang Monday.
I'm excited.
I'm Kelly Orchard, the Badass Certifier. Sometimes I forget to say that, but I think by now people know that about me. So
kinda.
Yeah.
You weren't even at lunch with friends, and we.
Oh really?
We were talking about it.
Oh, that's very cool. So my badass stuff precedes me.
Yes.
Yes. Well, I do love to get up in some of the lunches and just say, if you put the word badass in front of anything that you're describing about yourself, it changes your whole perspective and everybody else's perspective about you.
Yes.
And so I want you out there to try that today. Just say, I'm so-and-so and I am a badass, and then whatever you do for a living. So you try it. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Felicia Peterson, and I'm a badass loan officer.
There you go. See?
I love it.
Isn't that great? It's perfect. All right, and we're going to get you certified badass pretty soon, right?
Yes,
right.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. Well, I'm so glad to have you sitting in the seat today to give a badass tip from the street.
I'm excited to be in the Mustang.
Yeah.
I'm a car girl.
Yeah, So what are we going to talk about today?
Well, I think I want to talk about being your authentic self.
I love it.
I started in the mortgage industry I had a short stint in the mortgage industry in 1994, and then I stayed in it from 97 till now.
Yeah, it's a long time.
Yes, it is. And I spent 15 years on the admin and HR side, and then I went into sales. And I think I forgot that I needed to be my authentic self. I think I spent a lot of years being what I thought I needed to be a salesperson.
Okay. Well, let's kind of back it up a little bit. So you spent 15 years in the back office, so to speak.
Yeah.
I mean, no, really, you were in the back office.
Yes, and hiring and all that fun
so
stuff.
you were doing the hiring and all the HR, so the payroll and
all the fun
whatever
stuff.
Insurances and what have you else. Did your role also include the commissions and stuff like that? Right. Yeah. So in essence, then you got a really great education on what it's like to be a lender.
Yes.
But then what caused you to decide to make that transition from being the back office to being sales? Because I think that's really critical. Not a lot of people would think to do that.
Yeah. Well, my boss, the owner of the company, and I will mention his name, Ed Hoffman, was amazing, and he pretty much...
Is he still around?
Oh, yeah.
In this town?
He's in Moreno Valley.
Okay. Well, you've called him out, and we've come up with a thing where now it's like Mustang Monday hot potato. So now you got to reach out to him and say, Kelly has to come and do a Mustang Monday with you now, Ed Hoffman. So anyway, go on.
But he always told me I could do sales, and I was like, no, I'm never going to do sales. I'm not going to do commission only. I've got 3 kids. I'm married. I'm the primary, breadwinner, and I can't do that. And And I said, I can't do sales. I can't sell anything. And he would laugh at me. And he goes, yes, you can. You'd be great. And he goes, how many payroll companies did you interview? And which one did we pick? Because you wanted them.
Right.
He goes, you sold me.
You sold me.
So,
and that's the truth. It's like sales is basically you've got to have a passion for what your product is. Yeah. And then it's a matter of being persistent.
Yes.
And then finding the right person.
Yes.
Who wants what you have to offer.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's it. It's that simple. It really is. You know, so if I'm trying to sell you, an underwater basket that I weaved.
Yes.
And you don't want a basket that I weaved underwater. It's like, it doesn't matter how great of a salesperson I am. You don't want that.
No.
So, okay.
So I turned 40 about the same time my third and last child was graduating high school. And I looked at my husband and I said, it's about time. There had been some changes at the office that were encouraging me to make a move. Mm-hmm. And I think that was a positive thing. I was ready for some change. I was, turning 40, and I think change is good.
Yeah. Well, you were about, like you said, your last one was graduating high school.
Yeah.
So you were about to be an empty nester?
Oh, yeah.
At 40, that's a young age.
Yeah, that was
really
brutal. Well, I started early.
Started really early.
I did start really early. Yeah. And when I was 20, I was on my second husband.
Oh,
and
okay.
I had a 1-year-old and he had a 4-year-old.
Okay.
My 4-year-old stepdaughter is now 31.
Okay.
And then I have a almost 29-year-old and a 24-year-old. So. Okay. Yeah, I started early.
Yeah. Okay, so you were 40 and you were ready to make a career shift.
Yes,
you wanted
absolutely.
Something different.
And
so you got into sales. So Ed Hoffman, there he is again, encouraged you into sales. So you went ahead and did it. But the thing was that you said you told me earlier, it's like the authenticity of it is that you tried to be what you thought you were supposed to be.
Correct.
Rather than Felicia.
Correct.
So
I did that for a long time.
And that's a really good point to make. So what did you think you were supposed to be?
I don't know. I read so many books that were recommended, all the sales books, and
dress the part.
Well, dress the part, which I didn't have a problem with that. That was easy.
Well, I kind of do. I got rid of
because
it's like I don't really like pantyhose and heels.
Oh yeah, no, I don't do any of that. I don't do any of that.
Just the part of a radio personality.
Yeah, but I don't do casual Friday too often. I mean, if you see me in a t-shirt and jeans, that's a rare moment. So I don't do that anymore because you just never know who you're going to see. I usually have my name badge on so people know what I do.
Okay.
I introduce myself to pretty much everybody.
Okay.
I try to talk to everybody, try to smile at everybody.
Now, are you naturally extroverted, or is that
I used to be
introverted? You used to be introverted.
No, I was extrovert, and now I'm an introvert, and I have no idea why.
I'll tell you later, but that's not a Mustang.
Yeah,
I can share with you why.
I kind of got weird.
Well, it has to do with, I think it has a lot to do with experiences and other interactions and age and all the trust factors you kind of like internalize now. You a little bit. Okay.
So I think maybe I got intimidated a little bit by all the books I was reading about how to be successful in sales.
Yeah, there is a time where you can have too much information.
Being super aggressive, which I've never been super aggressive.
Yeah.
I mean, there's parts of my life where I can be.
So the sales books that you were reading were teaching you to be aggressive, and that's not authentic to you.
Yeah, definitely not.
All right.
Definitely not.
So what's your style now? What's your authentic style?
Just being more natural, being just me. I'm a very empathetic person, and I think that kind of focusing more on that and understanding and listening to other people and their needs and understanding where they're coming from and what they need in this process. Probably my favorite home buyer is either a first-time home buyer that they're like your kids. I found as I entered into sales, a lot of these loan applications were the same age as my kids, and I treated them as mine. And I wanted to take care of them as they were mine. Like, I don't want to do anything that's going to harm their future. I want to help better their future. I don't want them overbuying. I don't want them overpaying.
Getting themselves into a payment that
they can't afford.
Even though they've qualified for this loan amount, do you really want that mortgage payment?
Yeah. Or in explaining.
That's a big one right there, especially those first-time buyers.
Well, and then everything they see online, some of it is so misleading. Well, I saw the payment was only $1,299 at, a $400,000 loan. And I'm like, no, honey, that's just principal and interest.
Yeah.
So it was just kind of a thing where I really just wanted to take care of people, and then also people that were kind of going through the same thing I was. The empty nesters, you know, the kids are gone, you don't need the big house anymore, you need to downsize. Or they had a, you know, kind of their starter home still for whatever reasons, because finances are tough when you're raising kids, and now they want a big home for their family and for their grandkids, and just that change. So that's how you tapped into your authentic self, is to find people like you. Yes.
And I bet what happened was once you flipped that,
oh yeah,
that all of a sudden the business started picking up.
Absolutely.
There's like this resistance, is that you weren't being authentic, so you weren't being who you were, and people can actually sense that. They sense it perspective wise.
Yeah, and I think and I've had a few different people tell me, just be you, don't try to do anything else, just be you, because that's what people are drawn to. So I like to think I'm a likable person.
So when did you discover that this was beneficial for you? Because you've been on the sales side for how long now?
It's about 6.5 years almost.
6.5 years. And so you said that when you first started, you were being more aggressive than you were comfortable with.
Yes.
Among other things, probably.
Oh yeah.
So when did you realize this isn't for me, and you put the books away?
Yeah. Probably about a year ago.
Okay, so for 5.5 years, you struggled with not being authentic. I think that's also really critical to point out too, is that it doesn't matter when you decide that you're going to make that shift. Don't give up on the career or the passion or the job. Just maybe all you need to do is tap into who you really are.
Well, and that's the thing, is there's been several times along this journey that I've had where I have considered either getting back into the HR and admin,
going back into the back office,
or trying to figure out another career, and it's put me in such a huge depression.
Yes.
Like, I don't want to do that. I love what I do.
I love helping people get into homes.
I do love to do that.
Yes.
And I feel like I'm going to die doing this.
Okay.
And not because it's going to kill me, because it's a stressful job.
It can. I used to tell people this, it's like to tag team with a lender. And it's like, okay, so she can help you get into the home, and then I'm a psychotherapist. If you don't qualify for the loan, that's when you come to me for the mental health help. It's like, oh, I'm so sorry that but that's not your job, is to get people financed for their home.
Exactly.
And you finding that you have a certain niche that you like to work with, and that's probably who you speak with mostly to now.
Absolutely. Right? Absolutely.
So do you have a different tagline now that you've started than you were before?
No, my tagline for probably 5 years, my tagline has been putting a touch on the American dream.
Okay.
Putting a personal touch on the American dream. Boy, that was hard to remember.
Yeah.
And that's what I do, is I've put a personal touch on the American dream. The catch is, I intended to previously, but I wasn't. I was putting the salesperson touch on it, which I needed to put my personal touch on it.
Yeah.
And so it kind of started with just this message that I kept getting about change and comfort zone, and I kept getting it every single day. I mean, from a billboard to
even a conversation with me at lunch.
A conversation with you at lunch.
Which is kind of why we're here, is because we've talked about doing this, and you sort of were hesitant in a way.
I was.
And dragging your feet. You knew you wanted to, but and I'm kind of like, I'm a freight train. When I'm going, I'm going. It's like, hop on or get out of my way. And so we happened to sit at lunch a couple of weeks ago.
Correct.
And you had sent me a couple of emails in response to the Mustang Mondays.
Because I love them.
Yes, thank you. And one of them, you said, if I were to do a Mustang Monday, and I knew right then and there that's the sales pitch. That's the buying signal right there. And so I was like, okay, what are you going to do about it? And then we sat together at a lunch, and it was a matter of no longer saying you're going to get out of the comfort zone. It was doing it and making and then we had to make the appointment.
Yeah, and I just whipped out my calendar book, and there we did it.
We did it.
And so I think a mentor is key.
Always be learning.
Definitely.
Step out of your comfort zone. And be authentic self.
Absolutely.
Those are 3 great tips from Felicia Peterson from what mortgage?
New American funding.
New American funding.
And if you're going to show up, be excellent.
Uh-huh.
We talked about that.
Yes, we did.
That's my last tip.
There
you're showing up, be excellent.
So I am Kelly Orchard, and this is Mustang Monday, and we are going to remind you, we're going to repeat it with me, to be bold, be brave, be confident, be badass.
As you enjoy these interviews, know that you can watch the videos of Mustang Monday on Kelly's YouTube channel too. Turn up your energy with Mustang Monday. Here once again in the driver's seat is Kelly Orchard.
Hey, everybody. Kelly Orchard here with Mustang Monday, badass tips from the streets. And honestly, this is take 2. so in the car with me is my friend Libby Gill.
Hi there.
She is a colleague of mine. And, so we made a commitment today to meet each other in person. We've actually known each other for a little over a year. Mm-hmm. We were part of a digital online speaker marketing group, and once that program was over, there was a handful of us that decided that we wanted to stay together and continue to support one another. So we created a online group that we've been meeting once a month for about a year, and Libby and I, this is the first time we've actually met in person. And so I made the commitment. We're in Laguna Beach, California today.
Where neither of us live.
Libby lives in West Los Angeles, which I do that, and I live in South Temecula, which on a good day without Los Angeles traffic would be a 3.5 hour drive.
Right.
But we decided to meet halfway, which isn't really halfway because we're more coastal, but it's much more pleasant than inland,
right?
To have lunch. And so today's badass tip from the streets, Libby said it perfectly a few minutes ago, was you always, if you have the opportunity to meet a mentor or a colleague in person, because we live in a digital world,
do it.
You need to do it, because I've gotten more out of this lunch with Libby today than a lot of the calls that I make.
That's very kind.
Because it's been great. The energy and the hug was awesome.
Yeah.
It was like 2 old friends, but we've never really met in person.
Exactly.
And it's like, how many of us can say that?
That happens a lot though now, that people that you have Zoom calls with, and in the old days, we were laughing about in the old days versus today. I mean, it was really common that you would have phone relationships with people and then maybe or maybe not ever get a chance to meet. But this is so nice because you just bond in a way and you retain information much more soundly than you do when it's all digital or phone or certainly email or text. So this is awesome.
It's like all those ways of marketing and networking are great, but the in-person, nothing beats it.
Yeah,
nothing really beats it. But I also wanted to talk about you and what you do, because you speak on leadership and you do leadership consulting.
I do. I work with leaders inside companies. I came out of the Hollywood studio world, so I still work with a lot of media companies. I also work with healthcare and manufacturing, all sorts of things. Anytime you've got people and performance, which kind of covers everything, I come in and work with senior leaders in those areas.
And we were just talking about what you're developing into, which is the young, youthful leadership. It's like we had a really good one. It's like, if you've got a name for those millennials, we want to know, because millennials, from what I know, don't like being called millennials.
Well, they've been bashed a little bit, and they've been painted with that millennials are entitled, millennials are this and that, and they're not. They're individuals just like anybody else, but they do share a worldview that is significantly different than the boomers like me. I mean, they grew up where I think our age or boomers up they feel like they're encroaching on our territory, they're moving too fast, they don't pay their dues, all that kind of stuff, which I think is really pretty absurd. That it's just a world that's moved a whole lot faster. That there's new technology every day, there's new information coming from all sides. They can Google anything. There's information that's always at their fingertips. And we got to recognize that they are moving faster and harness that sense of purposefulness and also that energy and excitement about the world. And I think if we can do that, we get the best of those emerging leaders.
I agree. It's like I raised some millennials, and none of them are what would be considered the bashing part of the millennials. They all have a great work ethic. They all have good attitudes. And so I don't understand. I personally don't understand why millennials get bashed the way they do, but I can understand how some of them have that sense of entitlement. But that's sorry to say, parents, but that's the way that we raise them.
That's on us.
That's on us.
Yeah.
That's on us. But I watched one of your videos because you have a YouTube channel, and I love to do my homework, and I checked Libby out, and you had one where you were saying baby boomers just don't get it.
Yeah.
And I think you're right there. So if you're a leader in your business or even in your home, it's like you need to pay attention to the changes that are going on, but you don't have to know all the answers. It's okay to do a little reverse mentoring and let those younger generation mentor you on why things are going so fast or what works well for them. I know I've done it, and it's been tremendously helpful.
Oh yeah, and we taught them, have a voice, speak up, be aggressive, and also everybody gets a trophy. Everybody's special in their own way. We sort of invented that philosophy. So it's up to us now to listen, to hear some of those ideas, to challenge them creatively, to give them exciting and interesting things to do. If you have a couple of those things in your back pocket and somebody doesn't have something exciting to do and you can challenge them, you've got them. You've got that sense of purposefulness, and you just have to channel it in the right direction.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that I've learned and I've written about is that, the way that you raise your family is pretty much the same way how you operate your business. So how you treat your children and train them up in the world is going to translate into how you do in the business. And so you wouldn't just throw a bunch of food on the table and tell your kids to figure it out. You would either cook them the meal or teach them how to cook and take them grocery shopping. And if you're not doing that with your kids, you better start adulting them right now. But the thing is that it's like you need to teach your employees, or if you're whatever the leadership that you are in,
right,
you're kind of like the parent for those 8 hours that you have them.
All those things that we assume they know, those go into what I call the don't overlook the obvious category. They don't always know. Somebody that's been in the workforce for 2 years, they don't have the perception and the experience that you do. So we're so aghast when I have one leader who, one of her millennials came forward and said, here's a list of the things I like to do and a list of the things I don't like to do and plan on not doing anymore. Now, for some millennials, they might say, right on, good for you for having that list and speaking up. For boomer leaders, I think most would be appalled, like, how dare you?
Yeah.
But on the other side of that, there is a way that things can be done, and that's where it's up to us to say, this might be more effective. You might want to try this.
Yeah. What do you do with the question when someone says good people are hard to find?
Well, right now, there is some reality to that because we are in the tightest work pool or talent pool that we've been in for maybe 15 or 20 years. So there's truth to that. I think great leaders with great reputations and a good brand for themselves and their organizations will be able to find those people. And I also think you should always be recruiting. I don't care if you're a small, tiny micro business and you have outside vendors that you use, or you're a mega corporation. It is a leader's job to be recruiting. You find that person that you think is going to be gold and figure out where to put them, or how to bring them along until you've got a permanent spot.
Totally agree with you on that. That was always one of the biggest questions especially in the field of sales. It's like, how do you find good salespeople? Well, yes, of course you train them, but you've got to always be recruiting.
Whether it's a waiter at a restaurant or somebody waiting on you at Best Buy or a seasoned sales executive, always be recruiting. That's so critical now more than ever.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right. So any other words of wisdom that you'd like to share?
Oh gosh, just
tons of it. Yes.
Here we are in this Mustang, and it's just a great reminder that just get out there and go.
Get out there and go. Yes, absolutely. When I got up this morning, I was so excited to be able to go see Libby today, and even though there was a drive involved, and but it's kind of nice to step out of your comfort zone, which is one thing I promote all the time. Is just step out of your comfort zone, even just a little bit, and you'll be amazed at what you discover and find. There's nothing scary about stepping out of your comfort zone.
No, just get out there and be badass.
Be badass.
I've got my sticker right here. I want to be badass.
I got mine on too.
The only thing we're missing, Kelly, is because I'm from Los Angeles. If we had that green screen behind us with the rolling scenery, that would be so awesome.
Yeah.
Maybe that's next for
probably
Mustang Mondays.
I'll get like a little
video screen for behind the car. That won't be obnoxious at all. But you never know. It's like, what do you do with an old car? But like you said, it's kind of pristine. It's been garaged.
Gorgeous.
It's been garaged for 13 years. Yeah. So I love this car. This is my heart car. Well, that's our badass tip from today. Now you're going to say the tagline with me. I'll have to walk you through it.
Okay.
Be bold.
Be bold.
Be brave.
Be brave.
Be confident.
Be confident.
And say, be badass.
Thanks for listening and getting one step closer to being licensed to be badass. Be sure to subscribe to continue on the bus to Badassville. Snag your Badass Habits ebook at licensedtobebadass.com. You can stay in the slow lane and get just enough tools for successful badassery, one podcast at a time. Or you can join the Badass Ambassador crew in the fast lane by checking your baggage with my Licensed to be Badass integrated program with videos, worksheets, and group coaching for motivation, mindset, and a fresh approach to living a fruitfully badass life. Thank you so much for listening to this week's Mustang Monday with Felicia Peterson and Libby Gill. Thank you so much. And next week I've got Steve Nicholson and my dad hopping in the Mustang to talk about some leadership tips. So I just have a question for you before we close out. What song do you turn up loudly when you're driving the highway at night? Add that to your badass soundtrack. I know I would. And I just want to remind you to be bold, be brave, be confident, and be badass.
Badass Attitudes, licensed here, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Wednesday, again, we turn up the energy. Tune in and tune up. Badass is an acronym, and each Wednesday, Kelly shares tips, tools, and information about how you can become licensed to be badass too. Be bold, be brave, be confident, be badass.